Corolla versus Civic has consistently been one of the fiercest rivalries in the entire auto industry. They have traded places as the sales leader at various points in history, but recently the Civic has been coming out on top. But now Toyota is retaliating with an all-new and vastly improved Corolla to take on the Civic, which itself just underwent a refresh. So which of these two is the superior compact sedan? Let's go ahead and find out. So like always, we'll start things off by looking at the equipment level and pricing of these two. For this comparison, we chose the most popular value-oriented trims, since one of the main appeals of this segment is being affordable. Beginning with the Civic, we have the newly added Sport trim, which is positioned between the LX and the EX. It starts out at a very reasonable $21,950, and in typical Honda fashion, there are no major option packages. Instead, all we have are 5 extra options and the destination charge, which bring the total to $23,405. Moving to the all-new Corolla, prices have risen a bit from the outgoing model, so the equivalent SE trim now starts out at exactly the same price as the Civic, $21,950. Toyota, however, does offer some options, so we have the $1,500 premium package, all weather mats, and alloy wheel locks. After the $930 destination charge, it rings in at $24,697. Since we could not find one without the premium package, our price difference lands at $1,292. So to compensate for that, we'll start the Civic off with 1 point per $1,000 of difference, or 1 point. So with that all said, let's see which car is giving you the best bang for the buck. Starting out under the hoods, these two have some important similarities and differences. The biggest similarity are the engines, where they are both powered by 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engines in these trims. In the Civic, it makes 158 horsepower, while the Corolla makes 10 more ponies at 168 horsepower. On paper, the transmissions are also the same since they are both CVTs, but the Corolla has one important difference. It pairs its CVT to a physical gear, so the car launches like a traditional transmission, and then after that first shift, hands things off to the CVT. When driving the two cars, this makes an important difference because it allows the Corolla to take off better than the Civic by avoiding any of the initial rubber bandy CVT lag. Now as far as the rest of the driving dynamics, they both drive quite well for the price point. Power feels pretty equivalent in the real world, but it is worth noting that the Civic delivers the power in a quieter and more refined manner. Both also ride comfortably, however, despite the big improvements to the Corolla steering and handling, the Civic still outdoes it. It has a very buttoned down feel, and one of the best, if not the best steering setups in the segment. Finally, for the fuel economy, the Corolla comes out on top and even hits the coveted 40 mpg highway mark. Anyways, with the drivetrain now covered, let's move on to the exteriors. First, we'll check out the exterior designs in general. So starting with the Civic, you'll notice the refreshed grille is now black no matter what exterior color is chosen. That gives it an aggressive look, especially when paired with a black exterior like this one. The all-new Corolla has also gone for more aggression, with a large black mesh grille here on the SE. Additionally, there is a fake upper grille, which runs into the uniquely shaped headlights. They are surprisingly full LED, with 3 separate daytime running lights and another accent light across the bottom. The Civic, on the other hand, has halogen headlights unless you go for the fully loaded model. but it does have fog lights on the bottom instead of just accents. As far as the rear designs are concerned, again, both look pretty athletic. You've got spoilers, aggressive rear diffusers, and exposed exhaust outlets, either on the right side or in the center. But overall, since we try to keep things objective, we'll give the styling point to the Corolla simply because it has better LED headlights. Now we'll start working our way around the cars to check out all the features. Both come with large 18-inch alloys that are very nice looking. And then for the mirrors, the Corolla has heating and blind spot monitoring, which are missing from the Sport Civic. As far as the other safety systems though, they both come fully loaded with forward emergency braking, lane keeping assist, automatic high beam headlights, and adaptive cruise control. For the warranties, they both have 3-year 36,000 mile bumper to bumper warranties and 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain warranties. But only Toyota gives you 2 years of complimentary maintenance. And then to finish things off on the outside, we have the fuel ranges. Corolla has a 13.2 gallon tank, while Civic has a bit less at 12.4 gallons. That of course does mean that the Toyota wins here, since its fuel economy is already higher. But anyways, that wraps up everything on the outside. So now let's go ahead and see how the interiors stack up. Heading to the interiors, both models come with smart entry. However, only the Honda gives you remote start. Once opening up the doors, the first thing you'll notice is how nice they look for the price point. Obviously, they both are black, and the seating material is cloth for these lower trims. Only the Civic has aluminum pedals. Now as far as the seats themselves, both are 6-way manually adjusting, and neither of them have heating. The Civic has always been praised for its cabin, so this year it pretty much carries over. Across the upper dash you have a soft touch plastic, and then in the middle some black trim. Lower areas are mostly hard touch, but feel very high quality. The new Corolla has stepped its materials game up, offering the same soft touch dashboard, and then some nice leatherette trim across the middle areas. However, it does use a cheaper feeling plastic for the bottom parts. The door trim makes up for that though, since the Toyota's is entirely leatherette and padded plastic, whereas the middle part of the Civic's is hard touch. So overall, I have to call the material quality a draw. Just press the buttons to start. When you do, an 8-inch display will fire up on the Corolla, or a 7-inch display on the Civic. However, heading over to the gauges, the Civic comes standard with a premium 7-inch setup, while you have to get the higher end trim on the Corolla to have that. Moving back to the steering wheels, they both are manually adjusting and leather wrapped. Now moving on to the important subject of storage. Hondas almost always win here, and this is no exception. Corolla does have a good sized center console and a storage bin up in the front of the vehicle. But the Civic's console is much larger with innovative sliding layers. And then you've got even more storage up front and a pass-through underneath it. Checking out the shifters, they are both traditional ones and paddles are included on the wheels. When in reverse, both have backup cameras, but the Civic's has 3 views and active trajectory. Honda and Toyota also throw in electronic parking brakes with brake hold abilities. However, Toyota's automatically engages and disengages. Next, heading up to the single zone automatic climate controls, the Corolla has the more ergonomically sound layout, since Civic requires you to go into the touchscreen to access certain features like your zones. And now that brings us up to the infotainment systems. Starting with the Honda, it is still running the old Honda Link system, which is behind the newest version in terms of graphics and performance. They have added a volume knob this year, and both Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are standard. For the Toyota, it has the newest Intune 3.0 system, and performance does seem a bit snappier. However, unlike the Honda, it only has Apple CarPlay, so Android users are out of luck at this time. Since those systems are quickly becoming the most important infotainment features, I'll give the point to Honda. Finally, wrapping up the front, our Corolla SE includes a moonroof, which is not available at all on the Sport Civic. Now let's go ahead and check out the back. So with the redesign, the Corolla has become one of the most spacious offerings in the class, giving you about 10% more legroom than in the Civic, even though they have almost the same headroom. Once you actually get inside the back, there aren't a great deal of features in either, which is pretty much expected. One small difference though is that the Corolla has a rear armrest. The other important space in the rear is the trunk. Here the Toyota has not grown enough to pass up the cavernous Civic, which beats it by 2 cubic feet exactly. The actual measurements themselves are 13.1 cubic feet to 15.1 cubic feet, and both do have 60-40 split folding seats. So there you have it, the two end up neck and neck as you would expect from such big competitors. While numerically the Corolla does come out on top, it is really going to come down to personal preference, so we recommend checking them both out in person, preferably back to back. Anyways, thanks for joining us for another Car Confections face-off comparison, and be sure to subscribe for more comparisons and our signature full review videos. Take care.
Mm-hmm.